Now, earlier in this bulletin, we dwelt a bit on the impact of the ongoing cash squeeze on operators of the point-of-sale payment platform. What's happening there, according to analysts, demonstrates the unreliable nature of all liquid assets, and this can indeed be contrasted with the assuredness of fixed possessions like those in the real estate sector. How can Nigeria maximize the real estate sector? Many are asking the question. But Lukman Shobowale is the CEO and co-founder of Dukia Investment. He joins us now to look at real estate as a pathway to a sustainable economic future. We want to say thank you very much for joining us. And Olawale, please talk to us. Right now, a lot of people are looking at how can they invest their money in real estate and be sure that this is the best form of investment. A lot of people have said over the years that real estate seems to be assured, but so many people have had their fingers burnt, especially with several real estate companies promising land and promising plots in estates that literally are in the air, and they've seen their monies literally vanish. We live in Nigeria right now, and a lot of people are still hoping to get a safe investment. How safe are real estate investments in Nigeria?
Thank you so much for having me, Awais News. I think it's good to begin from where you started from. You said, how can, Nigeria maximize the real estate sector? I really believe that Nigeria can, maximize the real estate sector as a key to build a pathway to sustainable economic future and to redistribute wealth, enhance government revenue, and then create a lot of employment opportunities for people, particularly in the real estate space. So, and one of the reasons why I said this is good that we look at the real estate market holistically. As at last year, about 470 billion was allocated under the Ministry of Housing for the sector. And according to the World Bank, it has been stated that for Nigeria to meet its housing requirements, we have a housing deficit of about 17 to 20 million housing units. And the figures have constantly changed. At the moment, some have said that, the report is showing that we need to at least be able to build 28 million housing units. And that shows one thing. Number one, it shows that there is an opportunity in the space. Number two, it shows that there is a key potential for investors and major stakeholders who want to, play within the real estate, eco space. Another thing is that for us to actually achieve this, we will need about 21 trillion naira. That means that, the government alone, just look at the budget that was given into the, the housing sector, for instance, last year, which is about 470, and it has continued to dwindle down. This year, it's drastically low. About 300 billion was allocated for housing. That's less than 10%. What am I saying? That's even less than 5%. That's even less than 3%. So it means that this has created some huge, investment opportunities to people, to stakeholders, to individuals, and even to the government. So, because a lot of people can now look for ways to increase funding and begin to construct and develop within the space. And when they do this by government putting, regulations, so two things critical. Number one is that government needs to enable a positive business climate, because the market is viable, the market is big, and all the government needs to do is create a sustainable, business environment for people to actually play within the space. And when they do this, people are going to be able to pay taxes, people are going to be able to get jobs to the value chain. And this will, to a great extent, help the economy of Nigeria to maximize the sector. Number two is that government should also be responsible to be regulators and make reforms and not players. So government needs to regulate laws to guide the activities of players within the space. And when government is able to sustainably, do that, the economy will be properly maximized. People will have opportunity to invest in the space, and people will cut away a lot when it comes to return on investment.
Very good, Lukman. Still talking about maximization of investment. There's been a rebound of the real estate sector post-COVID-19 with current expansion projections. If I may quote some figures here, 5.2% by 2023. And with a 6.5% contribution to GDP projections-wise. Do you share this optimism, Lukman?
Thank you. Absolutely. So I feel that, despite COVID, and COVID had a devastating effect on not just the real estate space, but every other sector, the housing and the hospitality, space inclusive. Take Airbnb for as a case study. During the pandemic, before the pandemic, Airbnb has been a very thriving business that has changed the face of hospitality across the world. But during the pandemic, we saw them lose about $1 billion US dollars in revenue. And we saw some of the challenges that they had with their hosts and even with people that we call clients and investors on the platform. So, but the Nigerian economy is projected to grow at 5.5%, in 2023, which has created, a positive environment for real estate investment and investors. So, having said that, it is critical to know that because of what has happened in COVID and how the Nigerian economy has really been so resilient as far as the real estate space is concerned, and government is expected to invest in infrastructural, projects that will stimulate the sector. So if government is able to invest in infrastructural, stuff that will stimulate the sector, I believe that, the economy is going to be back to its feet. Let's take Lagos as a critical example. At the moment, we have one bubbling as is in Lagos right now, which is the Lekki-Epe corridor, the Lekki-Epe and even Ajah corridor, where a lot of people are currently talking about and are investing their money. One of the things that has driven, tremendous investments into this direction in recent years, before, about 4 years ago, they will literally be begging you to come and buy a land with 250,000 in Epe, and you will even not give them your time. But now people are begging to buy with 15 million, 20 million, and even more. And why has it become so? Because infrastructural development and government projects is gaining attraction and attention in that direction. We have the new airports coming to the houses. We have the Lagos Security Food Hub. We have the new road that has just been done all the way from Eleko that the government recently commissioned. So when government is able to put infrastructure, as we see Lagos doing, it will actually drive, development in such direction, and people are going to be willing to come and invest. And like I said, the real estate market in Nigeria, particularly Lagos, has experienced some level of rebound. At the moment, landlords of residential buildings in Lagos are in their best moments. Because we've seen, occupancy rate of residential property at an all-time. In places like Surulere, occupancy rate is at 0.2%. In places like, in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. In places like Utako, it's at 0.9. And in Stadium Road in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, is at about 9%. So this has shown that despite COVID, the real estate space, as far as Nigeria is concerned, particularly Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, has shown some level of resilience and is back to its feet. Then the real estate sector has maintained a sustained rebound from the impact of the pandemic, showing a level of improvement. And my optimism is that if it continues this way, in few years to come, really, 5-6 years, the real estate will be contributing just the same to the economy of Nigeria as we have in the United States and China, where the real estate currently contributes 14% and 13% to their GDP respectively, unlike what we did in Nigeria last year at 4.9%, and this year 5.2%, and experts have even projected that it will reach 6.5% before the end of the year.
All right, Lukman, permit me to drag you back into my previous question. I asked the question about phonies that are in the real estate sector and that have probably swindled a lot of people. And there are question marks about real estate investment. I know you spoke about the fact that it is rebounding, but people are becoming more skeptical because in as much as there is the need to fill up the housing deficit in Lagos State and Nigeria, we're having more and more people put money into real estate, and we're seeing it go bust because several real estate companies cannot deliver on their set objectives to be able to provide the lands that are needed to actually raise the structures and reduce these deficits.
Thank you so much, sir. I thought I shared a little bit about that already, but let me just quickly expatiate more on it. My partner always says something, Bayolawa, that, many people in Nigeria, because it's from the government side and even from the investor side, many investors in Nigeria don't read their documents. People buy, one of the major investors in the real estate market in Nigeria are Nigerians in diaspora. last year, at Q4 last year, there was a projection that there was a fact that about $10.11 billion was, accrued in diaspora remittances, which means that many of these guys are buying properties in Nigeria, investing in real estate companies and cronies that they don't know anything about. And when the property transaction is done, they give them a contract that they don't even read. And some of their eating clauses sometimes that are not that are the detriment of the buyers, and people don't even do due diligence. So when people buy, they don't involve their lawyer, they don't involve their surveyor. So real estate is not that transaction that people should buy. So my first discussion is to people that are buying, the public, that they should take their due diligence to, number one, study the market, know the company they are dealing with, check their track record, what is that they have done, and then check with the government. You can buy a car from your friend, and that is the end. You have a gentleman agreement, and you move on doing registering the car in your name, and you move on. But if you need to buy a property, the government needs to be informed. So you need to check: is this document even right? Do they have? Is it free from all non-government equivalencies? And states like, we must commend states like Lagos State that has put adequate parameters in place to ensure that the process